So I just want to make it very, very clear that I do not have life figured out. And honestly, habits and routines have been a huge part of my life. It's the little things that are added up that you do 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there, and you compound that over years and years, and it completely transforms your life. And these are some of the habits that have completely changed mine. Delayed gratification. I think this has been probably the most important lesson and habit that I have kind of used in my life. It's the whole idea of sacrificing a little bit now for a lot more later. Obviously that seems pretty simple, but I don't think most Americans in general and people in general really do that. So how I've been using it over the past probably 5 years now is kind of looking at everything that I'm doing and saying that I'm not gonna have a nice car, I'm not gonna have a nice phone, I'm not gonna have really nice clothes, I'm not gonna have a nice house, I'm not gonna have a lot of these things that are just normal for everybody else. So it was knowingly saying no to a bunch of things that I wanted but didn't really need so that I could have freedom later in life to be able to get those things and not have to, stress and worry. So having delayed gratification and kind of practicing that in a bunch of different ways, a bunch of different areas in my life, I think it's been totally transformative for me. Fitness. This has been one thing that's really helped me in my overall life, how people perceive me and how I perceive myself, my mental state, how I feel. It's been something that's really beneficial for me. And I don't really kill myself. I aim for 3 times a week, 45 minutes each. So it's not anything crazy. And I've been doing that for 5 to 7 years, and I've seen really good benefits without really putting in that much work. It's just consistency over the long term. It's not trying to get it all at once, it's consistency. But something that's been really important to me over the past couple of years, and it's kind of always been there for me when I get stressed, when I, can't do things other places. It's definitely given me confidence. It's really helped my mindset as well. When you're in shape and you feel good and you have confidence in your own strength, and I don't know, you're just able to do stuff. It's always been a good escape for me. And it's kind of again practicing delayed gratification, where it kind of sucks to go to the gym or to stretch or do things you don't like to do. But in doing that, it's gonna change your life later on. If you don't stretch, you're probably gonna have injuries later on. It's much easier for me to sit at the couch and play Xbox and not do it. But I know if I don't do that, I'm gonna regret it later when I'm out of shape and I can't do the things I wanna do and I don't feel the way I wanna feel. Reading. So I've been reading and listening to a lot of books over the past 5 years, and recently I've gotten into more physical books because it's kind of a different interaction. And for me, more than the specific things that I've actually learned from the book, it's been more of a mindset shift that has really made the biggest impact. So because I never went to college and didn't really learn anything in high school before I didn't finish that, I never felt like I'm the smartest person. I'm still definitely not, but reading a lot is something that has always been, it's either gonna be motivation for me, or it's just been kind of, if you listen to a book a couple times or you read it or whatever, and it's a really good book, it can kind of change your mindset a little bit in the right direction. I know it definitely has for me. So not only learning things from the financial books that I've learned that kind of led to other things that kind of changed my whole life, or on other books like how to deal with people and how to deal with yourself. Some of those things you just need to learn at some point, and I think it's the people who never really try to progress in life and never continue with that growth mindset that end up getting stuck and having a lot harder life. So this has been something that's really important for me. I read minimum of 1 book a month. Usually it's closer to 3. And it's not so that I can say, oh, I've read, this many books, or you read a book a week or a book a day, whatever people do. But it was this idea that if you don't know that a word exists, you literally cannot have that thought. If you don't know an opportunity exists or how to deal with things, how do you know what you don't know until you know it, So that was too many no's. There's so much knowledge out there, and looking back, that those little books that I've read have completely had huge ripples effect throughout the rest of my life. And especially when I was working a job where I was driving all the time or working kind of mindless stuff, I would listen to books so that I was kind of getting paid to learn stuff, is kind of how I looked at it. Or at least I wasn't wasting time, doing this kind of menial labor. I was actually, learning and bettering myself. And I knew that the more I did that, the faster I would get out of where I was. Because one of the most important investments you can possibly make is investing in yourself. Because that's gonna have huge ROI, and I've already, kind of seen that. My diet has been another thing that's been super important for me to do, and specifically the habit of intermittent fasting. So I've actually been doing intermittent fasting for about 5 years now, and I think it's one of the most important things that I have done in terms of like staying in shape, because I can eat like nobody's business. So if I was eating like normal people like I was before, then I would be like a lot heavier. It's just like, it is how it is. So this is one way, since I don't have a ton of self-control, to eat and like kind of stay lean all the time. Now, if you don't know what intermittent fasting is, it's pretty much just the idea of like you have like an eating window. So maybe you fast for 16 hours a day, and then you eat for, 8 hours a day, or whatever the math equals out to. Pretty much for me, it means I don't eat breakfast, which is why I'm having coffee at 11 o'clock, because it kind of helps stunt my hunger. Another thing that's helped me a lot is like being really aware of my body and like how it reacts to different things. So that's how I found out that, I couldn't have gluten, I couldn't have dairy, I couldn't have sugar, like a bunch of different things that I've kind of cut out. It's from being kind of in tune with my body and really listening to what makes it feel better, so that I can feel the best every single day, as opposed to like when you start to notice that if you eat certain things you feel bad later, and then you can cut out those things, you can actually like feel better like every day. Which was something that was a big change for me, because I was like always kind of like feeling crappy, because like apparently I can't eat like anything, unfortunately. And when you're eating like really healthy whole foods, it's really actually hard to gain weight. Like, I realize that I'm like 20 something, so it'll probably get harder in the future, but like when you're eating a lot of fruits and vegetables and you're not having a bunch of junk food and processed food, you just get to eat a lot more, and it's like less calories. So I don't know. Doing hard things. I've been working very hard on doing hard things, especially over the past year, but I've leaned into it the past couple years. If something's hard, it's probably gonna make me a better person. If I'm uncomfortable doing it, it's probably gonna help me out. I am very, very uncomfortable on camera. It's gotten a lot better over the past couple of years, but I'm very introverted. I don't like talking to people, definitely not in front of people. Definitely not in front of thousands of people, but I prefer not to think about it because I'm alone in my living room right now. But since I have started doing YouTube and putting myself out there and trying new things and really trying to express myself and speaking and stuff like that, it's really helped me out in a lot of different areas in my life. And then any other things that I find like this is a hard thing to do, I should probably do it. Like that's why I did, the 30 days of cold showers, specifically because that sounded miserable, so I did it. And then I took like a month off, and now I'm back doing it. I'm like day 10 or something like that. So, and it's been really helpful for me to just kind of get in that mindset of leaning into those hard things to do. It doesn't make them easy, but over time I think it definitely does better myself. Whether it's the little things of it's easier to not wash the dishes than wash the dishes, or like the bigger things, it's easier not to go out and talk to people, or not to try new things, or whatever it is. I'm trying into leaning into all that and having that really growth mindset, and trying to stop caring as much what people are thinking about me, which is something that as an introvert, I think I've struggled with that a lot. I still do, but I'm trying to work on that. So what are the habits that have changed your life? Let me know down in the comments. I am always looking for new habits, new things to try to better myself. And I think a lot of the other people in this community are as well. It turns out like a lot of you guys are like just like me. So that's been really cool to meet some of you. Follow me over on Instagram if you want to. And thank you for spending these few minutes with me. It's really cool, really, really cool. If you guys got any value out of this video, feel free to drop a like. It does help the algorithm a lot. And subscribe if you're not subscribed, because I'll do this every week. That was a ringing endorsement. That's as much as I can promise. I can't promise it's gonna be good. I can promise that I'll do it every week.